figured out how to get this going. So, today, I'm going to talk about the menstrual cycle. So, something that, it's going on a lot out there where people are talking about like cycle syncing and training to your cycle and what to do and what not to do and like big musts and like there's only this way, there's only that way. The biggest BS out there is seed cycling. Like, it's easy to fall for because they make it seem like it's this amazing thing, but like the story behind seed cycling is because there are different types of seeds that have different nutrients, but you can pretty much get those nutrients from many other foods that aren't as calorie dense as well. And it just makes you feel like you're some precious super fairy that needs to be treated delicately. And that's the same with training. Like, in the first half, which is this side, in the first half of the cycle, you're going to be estrogen dominant. Now, estrogen is anti-catabolic. It helps with muscle repair, muscle recovery, muscle growth. It's actually a really good hormone when it's in balance with progesterone and everything else in your body. So, in the first part of the cycle, you are going to feel stronger. You will have more energy. You're going to feel amazing at the gym, unless there's like other lifestyle things going on. Like, they're the things that are expected. But lifestyles for everybody are completely different, and your past dieting history plays a lot into the way your body responds to this. Because if you're in a chronically dieted state, and if you've chased fat loss and dieting your whole life, your body is more inflamed, it's more stressed out. So like you will most likely experience a lot more PMS symptoms. If your gut health isn't right, you will experience a lot more PMS symptoms. So that's something to keep in mind when considering this cycle. No two people are the same. Now, estrogen in the first half of the cycle also helps you be, let's just talk about training first. That's estrogen for training, so you can go hard. No one talks about testosterone, but testosterone also comes up here as well. It pretty much rises with this follicular stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Testosterone reaches its highest natural level. It doesn't become super illogical and we don't become like men. You already know that. You've had a menstrual cycle for many years already, but testosterone does peak over there. And that's why you will feel your strongest at ovulation. That's why you'll have a higher sex drive. That's why you'll usually just feel a lot more like, you know, amazing at that part of your cycle. That it can also increase cravings. Not cravings. It can also increase your metabolic rate a little bit. And cravings might come later on when progesterone comes in. That's what I was meant to say. So when progesterone comes in over here, you'll probably experience cravings if your diet isn't already adequate. Like, I know most people that have been living this lifestyle for a long period of time do not experience cravings in this period of time, because it all comes down to your lifestyle. It comes down to the way that you train and the way that you do your foods. Like, this is exactly why actually strength training, actually not really changing anything, benefits you in the second half of the cycle, because estrogen helps you with insulin sensitivity, which means it also helps control your blood sugar levels. When your blood sugar levels aren't controlled, that's when you start to have sugar cravings. That's when you start to feel like you want more energy dense foods, and it's harder to use the nutrients from your food. And it's also harder to use the carbs from your food. So, that being said, strength training helps increase your insulin sensitivity. The best way to combat the second half of your cycle is, if anything, to increase the amount of vegetables you eat. If anything, to be on the higher end of your protein range. Because vegetables also help with the anti-inflammatory effect that you need to counteract the inflammation that goes on in a menstrual cycle. So that's something to keep in mind. Like, It's nothing voodoo. It's not let's just go out and buy some pizza. If anything, that's the last thing you want to do. The last thing you want to do is actually eat crap food. The last thing you want to do is actually eat junk food, because your body isn't as insulin sensitive. And because it's more inflamed at that end of the cycle when you're holding more water, when you're about to bleed, you kind of want to have more anti-inflammatory foods, not put more processed fats into your diet that are actually inflammatory. So you want more omegas, you want more unsaturated fats, things like olives, things like avocado, things like more fish, have way more fish. It might even help to actually have more whole nuts versus nut butters. So they're just things to keep in mind when you're going through here. Like, don't listen and don't think that you need to do it one way or the highway. Like, don't think that you need to be a special snowflake in the second half of your cycle, and don't think you need to change your training, and don't believe that your metabolism increases by this much, because a lot of the time believing that whilst you're cramping, whilst you're feeling crap and not moving much, whilst you probably skipped the gym because you're in too much pain, whilst you probably didn't move around much at home because you're cramping, would decrease the energy you've burnt in the long run. And then you thinking that, hey, I get to eat more, you've just put yourself into a massive surplus. So just something to keep in mind.